Hey, I'm Steph.
I'm Alex.
And this is Not Today.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good.
And I'm a little nervous, but
No.
I know that you're trying to wear like...
Can I get a hell yeah? Because,
hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Because this is an Alex story. He's gonna tell a story and it's gonna be great and you're gonna fucking love it. And that's that on that. But no, can I just say, I literally just walked in the door from work. I'm still wearing a goddamn bra. Can we take a moment? Can we pour one out for me wearing a bra right now?
Yes, and also the realization that now all the episodes that you've listened to have been braless.
No. Don't put that in their brains.
I mean, that was my first thought. I'm sorry.
All right.
But I already poured out 2 for that occasion.
Well, listen, here's the tea. We record from our apartment. If I'm not in my jammies, I'm not happy, okay? So I'm
Mama needs no bra.
Mama needs my jammies. And I just walked in the door and there's no jammies in sight. It's fully work attire, jeans and all.
Well, you look great.
Thank you. I feel good. I mean, other than the bra and the jeans, I feel great. I look good. I know that. So you better believe it.
Yep. I thought you were talking to me. I was like, yep, I'm here.
Oh, no, not
Still
you.
dating. I do think that you look good.
Okay, sick. Love that. Do we have any news or anything?
Not really.
I have one thing that I wanted to.
Yeah, go for it.
If you guys like listening to us talk every week, head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a little rate and review. It does help us out. And that actually is only something you should do if you like listening to us. If you don't, forget I said a thing.
Yeah.
If
you don't, maybe don't.
If you don't, then why are you here? First of all, second of all, keep listening because you're great. I mean,
but it would be interesting. You actively hate a podcast, but yet you listen to it.
Listen to it.
Question why?
What are you doing?
Maybe do something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move forward.
Yeah.
I think that people like us.
Trudging along.
It does help us if you leave a review.
It definitely does. But that's the only thing I have. So.
That's it. A plea for ratings, please.
Anyway, thanks so much for listening.
And that's it.
And that's all.
But this week I'm telling it.
Love that.
So we'll see how this goes. It has been quite a while. I wanted to try it out this week, and there's a story that I found very interesting.
Yes.
And let's jump right in.
We're excited.
So today's story is about Dieter Dengler.
Dieter Dengler.
A German man.
Yes.
Very much. And he was born in Germany and grew up during World War II.
Okay, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, very not good time to be alive, to be honest.
And in Germany.
And in Germany at the same time.
Yeah.
His grandfather was the only person in their village to vote against Adolf Hitler.
Oh, hell yeah.
So a resistance, rebellious man
Yeah.
from, or lineage, really. And Dieter witnessed Allied bombing of his village.
Oh, shit.
As a child.
Yeah.
And this inspired him to want to become a pilot.
Yes.
So, I mean, the way that I researched this, it was very strange. It was as a young boy, Dieter witnessed the bombing of his village and wanted to become a U.S. Air Force pilot. And I was like, while you're being bombed by U.S. Air Force pilots. But I think the backstory of his father not supporting the Nazis is important context to that point.
Exactly.
And so he was inspired to become a pilot, and he immigrated to the U.S. to do just that. He enlisted in the Air Force, attending college, and finally graduated from the U.S. Aviation Navy Cadet Program, and he became an Air Force pilot. After graduation, he got further training as an attack pilot in the Douglas AV Skyraider for the Vietnam War.
Okay.
So this is in 1965, I believe. And this extra training specially equipped him to serve in the Vietnam War, and he was stationed off the coast of North Vietnam on the USS Ranger aircraft carrier. He was eventually assigned to a classified mission to bomb strategic targets in North Vietnam. So the fateful mission was on February 1st, 1966 at 9 a.m. He and 3 other pilots took off in Douglas Sky Raiders from the USS Ranger. And they flew in formation at 10,000 feet for about 45 minutes before reaching their target to blow the shit up.
Right.
Basically. And as soon as they get to the target, another pilot radioed to him and said, "Oh, there's an anti-aircraft battery at this road intersection. That's our target.
Okay.
Let's get him."
Yeah.
And so Dieter began to dive low because he wanted to get low in order to be more accurate with his he's basically
bombing?
dropping bombs.
Yeah.
So with his bombing, and as he's diving, the anti-aircraft artillery blasts his right wing in half.
Oh shit.
And another shell blew out his engine.
Oh no.
So he's kind of screwed. He
Yeah.
pulls up and levels out the plane, drops his ordnance, which is his bombs, and blew up the anti-aircraft.
Oh, okay. So they got him, but
artillery.
he got them back.
Yes.
Okay, sick.
But
Oh,
his plane is fucked.
right.
So he starts to fall out of the sky.
Oh no. Does he got to shoot?
As he's falling,
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm not going to let my parachute go, because if I do, I'll be a really easy target to shoot down because you're just floating."
Exactly.
So he decides not to pull his parachute and eject.
Oh, we got some
Shit is going down in
some
LA.
emergency happening right now.
Yes. And so on the way down, he's tossing classified material from his plane.
He said, "You're not gonna get this."
Yeah. So it would be harder for them to find. And on the way down, he's like, "I got to find somewhere." And there's a clearing about 300 feet wide that he tries to steer himself towards. But remember, he basically has one wing. His engine's gone, so he's really just trying to do what he can.
Yeah.
He ends up hitting the ground. A tree took off the left part, or the left wing.
Oh no. Both wings
and
gone.
Both wings gone. It's just fuselage at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He flips end over end a couple times. I mean, he doesn't remember.
Right.
But he's that's what happened. The cockpit dislodges from the rest of the fuselage, and he blacks out, right?
Right. As he should.
Yeah, right? I mean, he pretty much lost his helmet, smacked his head, and fell out of the sky. So he's not doing good. He only remembers waking up about 100, his only memory is being 100 feet from the crash.
Wow.
But he must have hobbled out of the cockpit, and his immediate instinct is to get away from the wreckage because he's like, this is a beacon for the enemy to come get me, right? So he, hobbles his way about a half mile from the crash until he kind of stops and is assessing what has just happened to him. And honestly, it seemed pretty lucky to me, because if you fall out of the sky and have a plane crash where your fuselage flips end over end, he had a concussion, his knee had a ballooning bruise. Ooh. But other than that, his head was bloody.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's alive
yeah.
and can walk.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, heads bleed a lot. So even if you have a little nick on your head, you're gonna be bleeding.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just a little nick, but
yeah, just a little nick.
But no, that's very lucky. That's insanely lucky.
Yeah, no shit. And I know that this is probably one of your worst nightmares, is a plane crash.
Oh yeah, and my sister. Every time anytime we talk about a plane, just in general, I have to warn my younger sister and be like, "Hey, don't listen to this episode because you'll fucking hate it."
Yeah. So Allie, maybe not this episode.
Skip a couple seconds.
So as you're saying that you bleed a lot from your head, and then it was just a nick.
Oh no.
He's wiping his blood from his head, trying to contain that, and he finds a large shard of glass and removes it.
Oh no, that's a big nick.
Yeah. And he puts some twigs on his knee and tries to basically make a splint for his knee. And honestly, that's kind of the extent of his injuries. In my opinion, pretty lucky.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are bigger problems at hand, because now he's most likely being hunted by enemy troops.
And he's what, in the jungle or something?
Yeah, it's the jungle.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he landed in North Vietnam.
Right.
in the jungle.
That alone is not great.
Not great. And he's like very much injured and bleeding.
Exactly.
So he kind of like is assessing his plan. Like, what do I do now? And he's like, well, the U.S.'s closest ally in the region is Thailand, which is to the west, which means that he'll have to go through the rest of North Vietnam, Laos, and then into Thailand. But he thinks that this is exactly the path that they would expect him to take.
Right.
So he's like, little psychology, you know?
Yeah.
What is that called?
Reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology. Yes. He's like, instead, I'll head towards the north instead of west to the Mekong River, about 30 miles away. I'll wait, try and signal for rescue. And if that doesn't work, then I'll go west.
Okay, I get the logic there.
So a little misdirection here from Dieter.
A little 1-2 from...
Could you imagine? A little 1-2. So yes, a little 1-2. And so he moves forward with that plan. At night, he tries to get some sleep in his sleeping bag, but the mosquitoes are so persistent that he barely gets any sleep at all.
He has a sleeping bag? Does he have like a pack with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he like
his parachute thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that they like give them supplies.
Sure.
That he pulled out of the wreckage. He had a sleeping bag, but got no sleep.
What? He got no sleep?
Crazy.
In the Vietnam jungle with head injury and a bum knee? No sleep. Come on, Dieter, you pussy.
Yep. So during the next day, he wakes up and continues through the jungle. He's actually spotted a few U.S. planes and attempted to signal to them without any luck because it's thick jungle.
The jungle. Thick with 3 C's, dare I say?
Yeah, probably. Maybe 4.
Shit.
He was exhausted and made a big mistake right afterwards by following a beaten trail instead of like making his own way through the jungle, because the trail is the most likely part of the jungle where other people would be, including enemy soldiers.
Yeah, but like that jungle's dense though.
Yeah. And you know, he thought, why walk in the brush if I can walk the trail? It's easy going.
Exactly.
I'm injured. But I mean, he knew that this wasn't the move, so to speak.
He said, you know what? It's not the move, guys.
But I mean, he did it anyway.
I don't know what accent that was, but that was not the move.
I'm going with bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is because like the trails are the most likely part where people would be, watering holes where you would most likely be to stop, and the move is to cut through the jungle. And he happens upon 2 Pathet Lao troops while he's traveling on the trail. And these are not North Vietnamese troops, but they are their allies who are fighting with them. They're the neighboring country. So they're pro-communist.
Just as bad.
So yeah, not good news for him.
Right.
Basically the other side, to simplify it. But they tied up his wrists and took his compass and watch before searching his rucksack. And while they were searching him, he tried to speak German and like kind of get them to believe that he was not an American soldier, but like just a random German in the middle of the woods in North Vietnam while there's a conflict going on.
Exactly.
So they didn't buy it. They were just really confused, more so, and they took them back to their camp and pretty much laid him down and drove 4 stakes into the ground and like tied him, each of his limbs, to one of the stakes, so he was spread eagle on the ground.
Oh.
It was so tight he couldn't move, and leeches were crawling up his leg.
No.
And he couldn't do anything about it.
No. I have never encountered a leech, and if I ever do, I think it's time to put me down. I think...
Put you down?
Put me down. Put me out of my misery. I think it's time to just call it quits. I could literally... Oh, no. That is the opposite of chill. He is tied to stakes, and there's leeches crawling... No. Oh.
I just think the jungle is not the place for you.
The jungle? No. Not for me.
No. Unsubscribe.
I do not subscribe to the jungle. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, he said in his like recall, the leeches would crawl up his leg. They would be, very thin, kind of like needle-like. And when after they were done, they would be like the size of your finger.
Oh, no.
And then you would just bleed.
Oh, no. Yeah, because they like bite.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
They're literally sucking your blood.
Yep.
Oh, no.
That's what they do. So this is like literally just the very beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg for what he's about to go through.
Poor Dieter.
Can't even imagine.
At the beginning I said pour one out for me wearing a bra. Okay. Pour one out for Dieter right now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And Dieter, as they took him to march back to their prisoner of war camp, forced him to, in fact, wear a bra.
Oh, for a hot second there, I was like, you are telling the truth for a second. And then I'm like, okay, I'm now dumb.
I'm joking.
I am tired.
Obviously. But they did march him back. They pretty much tied his wrists together and like forced him to hike at a grueling pace through the jungle at gunpoint. And they fed him small rations of sticky rice and gave him unfiltered river water and just tied him up every night. So, I mean, this is, not good for your health. Unfiltered river water in Vietnam in the jungle.
Right.
Filled with parasites.
Yuck.
The trek ends when Dieter's original captors hand him off to a guerrilla group chief who is the head of another group of Pathet Lao troops. And to the surprise of the chief, both he and Dieter spoke some French.
Okay.
So for the first time since his capture, Dieter's actually able to communicate with somebody in a language that they understand.
Right.
So this scores him special treatment at the camp initially. So he spends hours telling the chief about the places that he's visited in Europe, and for the first time since the plane crash, he gets fed a full meal. And he's also allowed to bathe, and his wounds are treated before going to sleep on a cot instead of being tied up again on the fucking ground where the leeches are.
Okay.
So, some good news.
Yeah.
However, the treatment is short-lived after the chief that is the head of the guerrillas confronts Dieter to sign a document that states he's being forced by U.S. Army officials to bomb women and children on purpose despite disagreeing with the orders.
Ah, so it's all schmooze.
It's all schmooze. I mean, maybe, at first there was like some genuine empathy being felt, but I think that this was like...
It's a bribe.
Yes, but like this was like a more widespread tactic of theirs to like sway public opinion from the U.S. Anyway, Dieter refuses to sign, and the special treatment ceases just as quickly as it had begun. He's turned over to guards who beat him until he blacks out.
Oh, no.
He's woken up later by a splash of water and offered to sign the document again. He again refuses, and they drag him out in front of the hut that they were in, tied him to a water buffalo, and whipped it into a trot.
Wow. That's one tough cookie, to put it as simply as possible.
Yeah, no shit.
But like that, wow. To be here, you could sign this document and you could be done, or you can continue to be beaten to the edge of your life.
Yeah, no, he's beyond tough.
Damn.
And this is still just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
I mean, he's pretty much being dragged over really sharp routes through the village that they're keeping him at, and the villagers are like cheering this on actively.
Oh, God.
And Dieter said that he could see the hate in their eyes.
Yeah, I bet.
And they were eating it up. And at the end of this torture, I mean, he's bleeding profusely. His skin's torn up. His clothes are ripped to shreds. And they again give him a chance to sign the document, and he still refused.
Wow. That's some strength right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's inspirational. This is like, I love the fortitude that it takes to do this. And just the fuck you attitude that he had. He just wouldn't sign this fucking document.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I don't know that I would be able to be that strong. Like, that's really crazy.
No. Yeah, no way. Especially if I didn't agree with the war.
Right.
Yeah, no way. So, at dawn, the guerrillas leave the village with Dieter tied up and march him through the jungle again. At night, Dieter actually manages to escape from the soldiers and hides on the hilltop. As the sun rises and his adrenaline wears off, Dieter realizes how dehydrated he is and cuts open a succulent to get its juice.
Oh.
What he didn't know was that the shit was poisonous.
Oh.
It caused his cheeks to go numb and his throat to swell shut. And so he was desperate for water and stumbled down the hilltop to a watering hole, only to be found by his captors.
No. But now he's poisoned and also still in captivity.
Yes.
Oh, no. The
Pathet Lao were furious that he had run away and set out to break him. They started to torture him by hanging him upside down, tied his feet, threw the rope over a branch, and hoisted him up so he was upside down. Smeared honey on his face and put a nest of black stinging ants right below him.
Oh, no.
The whole time, Dieter's drifting in and out of consciousness because these ants sting, and it fucking hurts.
Yeah. Have you ever been bitten by like one of those fire ants before?
Yeah, I mean, similar type thing.
I mean, it's like obviously that there's no comparison. Like he's got honey on him and he's
On his face.
oh god. That is horrendous to think about.
Not even halfway.
Oh no.
So the whole time he's like passing out. And that night he gets lowered into a small cave full of water as the temperature drops in the jungle. And he shivers all night. And honestly, in my opinion, it's like amazing that he didn't get hypothermia.
And die?
And die. And they pull him out the next morning and keep marching him. Eventually, they get to another camp where the guerrillas hand him off to some North Vietnamese soldiers who then brought him to a POW camp only 14 days after his crash.
Damn.
This POW camp is run by a different group of Pathet Lao soldiers who shoved Dieter into a primitive hut with obviously no lights, and it is rife with spider nests. Your favorite.
Oh no.
So, I mean, it was just like makeshift. I'm sure that they did not give a shit how the POWs were living.
Right.
And the only light that got through to Dieter was through the cracks in the wood. And it was like boiling hot because the jungle is hot. And during the day, it's just baking. There's no windows. I mean, if there's no light, there's no airflow. So
yeah. It sounds terrible.
Just like that stagnant air. Ugh. That's hot.
Humid, too.
Humid. Yeah. Disgusting.
Jungle.
So...
just saying words now.
Just jungle. Humid, bad. Not good.
Exactly.
So after the guards leave Dieter, the prisoners next door whispered him to find out who he is. And there are 6 other prisoners that he could communicate with. One was also a U.S. Air Force lieutenant named Dwayne Martin. The second was named Jean de Bruin, who was part of U.S. air crew who had crashed from a cargo ship that was bringing supplies. And the other 4 were Chinese radio operator Tu Yik Chu, nicknamed YC, and the last 3 were Thai cargo shippers Prasit Thani, Prasit Pramusawan, and prepare yourself for this pronunciation.
Okay.
Prisidi Intradat.
Okay, pronunciation.
You like that?
I love that.
So this is who they are working with. The group start to get to know each other, and mainly everyone there just wanted to know news about what had happened on the outside.
Yeah, I feel like if you're in that kind of place, it's like, how do you not trauma bond a little bit, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to know, like, what the hell's going on outside of this desolate place.
Definitely. Do you know how long they had been there?
Gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
So some of them had been there for over 2 years.
Oh, shit. That's not good.
Yeah. And the questions they asked were like, what did cars look like now? What was happening in Europe, Cuba, China? What could you see on TV? And he also told them that President Kennedy had been assassinated because that happened in the 60s. And Dwayne Martin had told them that, but nobody believed him. Oh. But Dieter confirmed it. And they were like, oh, shit, right? Because, like...
You don't believe that. You're like,
right?
Come on. You're
U.S. president dying.
Exactly.
Getting assassinated, no less. Like, fucking wild. So Dieter finds out from the group that they had attempted an escape previously that ended in them being severely beaten.
Right.
And was not successful. So the group began to plot their next escape plan, naturally, because what the fuck else do you do? Mm-hmm. Thinking that it would be best for them to wait until the monsoon season in May. Remember, this is February. This is because they would be harder to track because the rain automatically covers your tracks. And there would be more fresh water for readily available, so you don't have to go to a watering hole.
That's very smart.
They were like, we're going to wait till May, the rains will come, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So this plan gave them hope and really kept up their will to live as they settled into a very bleak routine. The prisoners' days mainly consisted of being in the dilapidated huts, only being let out briefly to use the latrine and get a little fresh air. And this usually happened in the morning and at night. And that was fucking it. And for the rest of the time, they just let them be in the huts that are, again, have no light. Hot, disgusting, filled with spiders, bugs, I'm sure just other rodents, whatever. So periodically, the guards would take a prisoner to the North Vietnamese to be interrogated, naturally. And Prasit Thani was forced to act as a translator because he spoke both English, Laotian, and Vietnamese. So he was like kind of the bridge between all of them. And the guards would look for any pretense whatsoever to beat the prisoners, really not needing much reason at all.
Right.
And one of the guards that they called Little Hitler would actually take off their handcuffs and they're like foot blocks. I mean, they basically keep your feet together.
Yeah.
He would take them off and be like, oh, look, they're escaping from them. And then they would beat the shit out of them.
Oh my god. It must equally suck and be very good to be like the translator guy, like the bridge between, because that means they need you to like still be alive to do that. But also like that sucks because then you have to like deal with them.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like I would feel some sort of guilt because you're like going in between them. Like, can you like soften the blow when you translate? Like, it's kind of on you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I can't even imagine being in that position. And then you get to witness all the beatings.
Exactly.
Not
was
you
he
get
never,
to, but you have to.
Yeah. Well, was he never like a part of the beatings, or was he...
They didn't say. I mean, I'm
okay.
sure that he was probably given more special treatment because they could communicate with him, but I'm sure that, I mean, he's still a prisoner.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
And these guys are fucking savage.
Yeah.
So the whole time they would play intensely savage mind games with them and would like fire guns at their feet and like point guns at them and like joke about it.
Oh.
And there was one point where one of the guards had M1 carbine to Dieter's head and he thought that he was going to pull the trigger. He's like, I'm dead. And he held it there and pulled it away and laughed.
Oh my god.
But I mean, this is what they're dealing with on a daily basis.
Right. I mean, it's just yikes. I mean, I feel like how do you not break when you're just like constantly in that hell?
I mean, this isn't even in the first week that they're that Dieter's in this camp. So Dieter and the other prisoner kept up their spirits by discussing religion, history at night, kind of just anything but their situation, just
literally
kind of trying
anything
to like
at all.
rise above.
Right.
They made a chess set out of bamboo and rocks, and he actually taught the other prisoners how to play so that they could all have something to do during all day of captivity.
Yeah.
And at night, the guards would lock all 7 of the prisoners into wooden foot blocks so that they couldn't escape while the guards were sleeping. However, they were savvy enough to craft makeshift keys so that they could unlock themselves from the blocks at night and then only have to get back into them like right before the guards got there in the morning.
Okay.
Fun side note about this is like they were actually pretty ingenious with this because the U.S. Army didn't know how to get out of these, and they actually took that information that they like got here and used it like as classified information and like distributed it.
Wow.
It's like if you ever get captured, like this is like how to get out of the foot blocks.
Wow.
So they came up with some like very ingenious solutions. So they hid the keys in their underwear, knowing that the guards wouldn't check there because they're not bathing.
No homo.
No homo. They're like probably pissing themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they don't smell good and nobody's going down there. So for food throughout this time, the guards only gave out small portions of rice, and they began taking whatever they thought that they didn't need of the rice and started storing it so that they could escape.
Okay.
Eventually, you know, like when we do escape, we're gonna have to go through the jungle. We need food, right? So one day, about 8 days after reaching the camp, one of the guards the prisoners had nicknamed Crazy Horse told them that they were going to be set free and that they just had to walk to the headquarters. So they started marching tied together by handcuffs through the jungle, but didn't reach any headquarters. They soon realized that they had been moved to a new POW camp, miles away from the old one that was much more locked down and was surrounded by a 15-foot tall woven bamboo fence. By a bamboo fence. The camp was even deeper into the jungle than the last and would have been even harder for U.S. planes to spot from the air.
Shit. And I'm guessing all their food is at the last camp, huh?
Yeah, so all the effort that they had storing up rice, I mean, granted, it was only for about 8 days.
Right.
But still wasted.
Okay, well, at least it's not like months of rice.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be worse.
It could be worse.
But it could be a lot better.
It could, yeah. I mean, I'm just really grasping at straws here.
Truly. Grasping at rice. And
literally,
the layout only had one entrance at the front that was guarded by a single soldier that led to a dirt path out of the camp. There were two 30-foot guard towers on either side of the camp. So, like, basically the prisoner huts are in the middle. There's a fence around them. There's two guard huts on the outside. And then, like, the guards sleep in huts outside of the fence.
Sick.
So the kitchen quarters were outside the fence, along with a latrine that the prisoners would, from time to time, get to use.
Outside of the fence?
And, yes, outside of the fence.
Wow.
And so for a brief time, they got to go out. But this was also next to a stream for fresh water. And the two prisoner huts that they were stashed in were raised up about 4 feet from the ground and were each roughly about 108 square feet.
That's not...
For 3 and 4 people each.
Yeah, that's not great. It's not
great.
Not great.
They were made of logs, bamboo, and thatched, and the roofs were thatched with leaves. They split the group along racial lines pretty much and put the 3 Americans in one hut and the Thai cargo group and YC in the other. This actually helped them to lessen the tension between them that had been growing because the Americans were suspicious of Persisted because he had been talking to the guards.
Right, because he's the
translator. Because he speaks Vietnamese, and they probably were like, why are you doing that?
Right.
Remember, he's the only person that could communicate with them. I'm sure that he was like trying to soften relations.
Sure.
And
I mean, if you could translate,
I
you know.
mean, I would try and get like some special treatment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you gotta look out for number 1, baby. You know?
Right. So they're split up, and they adopt, again, another similar soul-crushing routine at this new camp. They're woken up early with the chickens and taken down to the latrine for a bathroom break. If any of them take more than half a minute, the guards will begin shooting at them.
Half a minute? What?
Yeah.
That's so no poops?
Imagine, I was like trying to poop.
No poops.
Quick poops.
That is not always the case, now is it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There's no TP.
No TP? What are we, in the jungle? What are we, animals? No TP. What are we, in a pandemic?
That is just the least of their worries at this point. Costco's out of toilet paper. The fuck is this? So yeah, they pretty much can't go to the bathroom. So they soon decided that it would be safer for them to relieve themselves inside their hut in bamboo containers and dump them every 2 to 3 days. The stench of the hut was indescribable.
No. Oh, no.
I'm sure that you maybe become nose blind to it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Maybe not.
I thought the leeches were bad.
This is just another layer of hell. They're going to keep going deeper.
God damn. I can't believe that shit's real. Like, I believe it, but also like, oof, wow.
Yeah, I mean, this war was ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly war. And at 9 a.m., the guards would give the prisoners some rice, sometimes allowing them to eat at a table outside of the main hut, which is where the guard stays, for about 10 minutes before shoving them back into their hut. They were again given rice at night and then put into foot blocks and handcuffed before the guards went to sleep. Dieter recalls the most nerve-wracking experience of this routine was when the guards would sing propaganda songs over and over again at night, and they would just not stop. So initially, there was enough rice to sustain them all. Times were good. But a month later, like getting into March, after they were captured, the food supply began to dry up and become unstable. So they were getting food and then they weren't because they were having a famine, pretty much. And because the meals became so regular at the camp, the prisoners would catch any animals that they could find in their hut and then would equally divide the meat between them.
You mean irregular?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they would get rice, they wouldn't, I mean, they weren't being fed really well anyway. So, like, anything that they could eat, they would eat. And Dieter recalled that rats were a great catch, and that after a while, like, what he found gross initially became, like, an absolute delicacy.
Right.
They even managed to catch small snakes from time to time, most of them with rats in their stomach, and what he considered a double meal.
Rats?
In a snake's stomach.
Oh, wow.
So they were, like, psyched. They were like, this is 2 for 1.
Right, this snake just ate, therefore I get 2 meals.
Yes, this is a combo.
Oh, man.
And they even caught a frog once and divided up the raw meat between them equally, and Dieter got the heart of the frog, which was the size of a watch stem.
Watch stem?
Like the thing you twist.
Oh, that's so small.
Yeah, but that's what he ate. So this is what they're dealing with.
How did they not starve to death?
It's a miracle, really. But I mean, they're losing weight.
Right, of course.
I mean, they're giving them really the bare minimum to keep them alive. During this whole time, no medical attention was ever provided at the camp, despite a slew of ailments the prisoners were experiencing. They got malaria, diarrhea was common among all of them, and they ate some charcoal to help, usually, but some of them would have to poop 20 to 30 times a night.
No. Oh, God.
One of the prisoners had a tooth infected so badly that he took a nail and a rock and hammered it off piece by piece because it was so painful.
Yeah, you just got to get that out at that point. But that's like, oh my God.
I can't even imagine getting to the point where I hammer a tooth out of my face.
No, I mean, you literally, that's rock bottom. Like, that's...
No, it's not.
Oh, no.
Nope. Remember, their plan is to escape during the monsoon rains, right?
Right.
Months go by, and March turns to April turns to May. Still, the monsoon rains aren't coming. May slips into June, still without rains. So they're in June now. Keep doing the same shit every day.
Do they need the rain? Come on.
So, expecting the monsoons to come at some point soon, Dieter began weakening the floorboards of the hut with water and urine over the next several days to try and, get a hole in the floor so they could get out under it. And this gets to a point where he's able to break through the floor and easily drop down to the ground. So they get to a point where they can pull up the floorboard, drop down, and they can put it back so the guards won't notice. And they meticulously note the guards' routines and begin to hatch a more exact escape plan. They figured that the best time to strike was when the guards seemingly left all their weapons somewhere else and went to eat at their kitchen hut around 5 p.m. Timing would be key here, and they estimated that they would need about 2.5 minutes in order to get out of their foot blocks and handcuffs, open a hole in the floor with the floorboard, scurry over to the guard towers, and grab a weapon to hold up the guards with.
Okay.
So they would count 1, 2,
very
and they
tight.
would practice. And they pretty much came up with this exact plan. They were just waiting for a moment to strike. The lack of food was beginning to seriously affect even the guards at this point. And the prisoners learned that the lead guard had said if one of the guards shot them, dragged them into the brush, they would have all the food to themselves, meaning they could eat them.
Oh my God. The guards are now oh, we're going to kill you so we can eat you?
Yeah. They're thinking about it.
God damn.
So upon learning this, they're like, we have no time to wait for the monsoons.
We need to get the fuck out of here.
Yep, fuck that plan. So they knew that their days were numbered. And, I mean, obviously, even if they hadn't made that comment, they're not going to continue to give you food if they can't feed themselves. So, time is of the essence. Truly. Also, physically, the prisoners are getting weaker and weaker by the day because they have no fucking food.
Right,
and
exactly.
They are dealing with illness after illness. Like I said, they have malaria, parasites, bouts of dysentery. They're if they don't do it soon, they're not going to be physically in the shape to do anything and survive in the jungle for any period of time. So, in an increasingly desperate move to get food, 7 of the 17 soldiers our guards at the camp go to nearby villages to search for food, like rice, whatever they can find. So now it's 10v7. And now that they're more equally matched in numbers, they were like, this is our chance. We got to do it now. So they pulled trig on the plan. And as the remaining soldiers at the camp go to eat dinner, the prisoners seize the opportunity. Prasit Thani signals Dieter that the coast is clear, and Dieter pulls up the floorboards of the hut and drops to the ground. He crawls under the fence to the guard tower and steals 3 rifles from a nearby watchtower. And by the time that he had the rifles, 2 of the other Thai prisoners had caught up with him, and he handed them 2 rifles too. Shortly after this, the guards noticed that something was wrong and scrambled to get their guns and find the escapees. They quickly found Dieter and fired shots that whizzed right over his head, and he remembers feeling the bullet fly over his head.
Oh.
Nobody got hit, and they returned fire, dropping one of the soldiers. Another guard charged at Dieter with a machete, and he shot him from 3 feet away at pretty much point blank range and dropped him.
Wow.
By this time, Gene had found a machine gun and shot a third guard in the firefight. And at the end, remember the other 2 Thai soldiers are shooting people too. At the end of the firefight, 7 of the guards had been killed, but the other 3 escaped into the jungle, leaving the prisoners with the camp to themselves.
Okay.
So they had taken it over.
Great.
But
no,
it was a short-lived victory because they realized that they would have to abandon their original plan of staying near the camp and signaling for rescue and holding it up, holding the camp down, because the 3 soldiers who escaped would come back with reinforcements and they would be fucked. They would be easily outnumbered. There's only 7 of them.
Right, exactly.
So Dieter and Dwayne say a quick emotional goodbye to Gene, who decided to stay behind with YC, who had fallen so ill that he couldn't travel on his own.
Aww.
And they ended up giving him double the ration of rice that they took, because their plan was to get a good distance away from the camp and then wait and signal aerial rescue. So they gave him extra rice and said goodbye. And then the Thai prisoners also split from the group because they figured that if they split up, they would have to go find 2 different groups. At least one of the groups would survive. There would be a higher chance of that.
That's smart. But also sad.
I know. So they also split. So Dieter and Dwayne disappear into the jungle on the run, following a trail as far as they could before vomiting because they're not used to physical exertion. Remember, they've been trapped in their hut for multiple months. They have no food. They're definitely not used to exercising.
Right.
So they're trying to get out, GTFO.
Exactly.
And so they exert themselves so hard that they start puking.
Right.
They make it as far as they can before stopping for the night and make camp and drift off to sleep. They get woken up by the much needed monsoon rains.
Oh, thank God.
So literally perfect timing.
Yeah, good.
The rains would help them to not be tracked. Like I said, they would be able to get clean water more easily, but this slowed their pace through the jungle considerably because of the thick, sticky mug.
Mug. The thick, sticky mug.
Oh my God, we're not cutting any of this. Not to mention the enormous and plentiful population of mosquitoes that hounded them every step of the way.
Oh yeah, I never even thought of the mosquitoes.
Remember
those?
Also just miscellaneous insects.
Yeah, no.
So it was so wet. The rice that they had dried and saved for this trip gets moldy, but they eat it anyway because they have no other option. So they're eating moldy rice. The horrific conditions of the jungle led their feet to blistering and getting infected to put the cherry on top of their predicament.
Right. Yeah, of course, because that's just all they need.
This is really what they need right now. So the duo marched on, traveling in creeks whenever possible so they didn't leave any tracks. From a break in the storms, Dieter's able to actually get their bearings from a directional compass he made with the sun and realizes that they are moving west in the direction they wanted to go by following the creek. So they were going in the right direction.
Okay, good.
Great. Good news. At night, the 2 of them pull off from the creek and make camp, huddling together from warmth because it's raining, no fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So eventually the small creek that they have been following turns into a full-fledged river, and they decide to piece together a makeshift raft out of a banana tree.
Okay.
He said they spent about 8 hours building it and started floating down the river.
The fact that they have any energy at all is astounding to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, when your life's on the line, I imagine you could dig pretty deep.
Yeah.
So initially, the raft is working fantastically. They float down the river effortlessly, making progress that would have taken days on foot. And that is until they hear the roar of a waterfall coming up.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope.
What the hell?
So this forces them to get the fuck off the raft and swim to shore before they fall off the waterfall. And they watched it as it fell off the waterfall and broke into a million pieces.
What the hell?
Really, their problems are only just beginning to compound as they experience dizzy spells from hunger because their rice rations had run low. They were passing out all the time because they couldn't eat and they're exerting themselves. So desperate for food, they killed an iguana and ate the meat raw.
Well, at least they could kill an iguana.
Honestly, if you catch it while it's sunning, I feel like reptiles are pretty slow.
Okay.
In the morning?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never had a reptile,
Just me?
So I don't know.
We'll have to try it out.
Sunning?
No? Killing reptiles? I don't know. So after finishing the meal, they actually stumble into an abandoned village where they sleep for the night, and it's the first dry place since they had escaped that they slept in.
Oh, amazing.
Fantastic. Big luck. They had actually dropped their weapons and ammo because they were too weak to carry it during this process. And when they found the village, Dieter trekked back to find the ammo, and he found 3 bullets, brought them back, and the reason they wanted it was for the gunpowder so they could start a fire. So they pretty much rubbed some sticks together, ignited the gunpowder, and they had fucking fire in a dry village.
Right.
And for the first time, they boil leaves and tapioca and have their first warm meal in months.
Oh, good.
So while they're staying in the village, a plane flew overhead and dropped some parachute flares.
Okay.
So they were elated because they were like, they saw us, they dropped flares for us, they're coming back to get us.
Great.
And they waited all day for a rescue that never came.
I need some good news.
Yeah, it's
I need
coming.
some good
it's
fucking
coming.
news.
Yeah. So this is like obviously a whiplash of emotions. So they try and come up with another plan as Dwayne begins to experience a violent malaria attack. So he's got a fever, he's shivering, things taking a turn for the worst. So they're sick, starving, and out of options. So Dwayne and Dieter cautiously approach a nearby village for help. Mm-hmm. But remember, the locals not exactly welcoming to Americans. So they were showing their hands to show that they're empty, but the villager that they approached ended up running at them with a machete.
Oh.
And he came at them so quick, he cut Dwayne at the leg, and then with his first swing, and then decapitated him with his second swing.
Oh.
And Dieter heard Dwayne scream.
No.
And with the third swing, the villager narrowly misses Dieter by about half an inch.
Oh my god. Okay.
He's swinging at his throat.
Okay, I feel like we just lost a BFF.
We did.
Dwayne.
Dwayne died.
Pour one out for Dwayne.
Dieter's completely shocked and horrified, and, the attacker only misses him by about half an inch with his third swipe, and not knowing where he got the strength, Dieter books it into the jungle.
Wow, yeah, that's adrenaline for you.
Yeah. I mean, just full adrenaline rush. He's sprinting. The deranged villager gathers a group and starts to hunt him in the jungle for a few hours.
You have nothing better to do. I guess not. You're living in the jungle. You're like...
No, they hate the Americans.
Well, yeah, but Jesus Christ.
I don't think you understand.
No, I don't, clearly. I just, give them a break, for fuck's sake.
They wouldn't. So they spent a few hours hunting him before they gave up because he was hiding in the jungle. So Dieter is furious.
Yeah.
And
really?
Yeah. He goes back to the abandoned village, thinking it was their village, and sets it on fire.
Okay. You know
and
what?
He was like, I don't give a fuck if they find me.
Yeah.
I want to do damage.
I get it.
And he recalls being, not in the right state of mind. But, who would be? Who would be?
Your partner just got their head cut off.
Yeah.
You narrowly escaped your head getting cut off. You've been starving for months. You've been a prisoner of war. You're in the jungle. I would set some shit on fire too. Fuck.
Fortunately for Dieter, the blaze attracts a pilot of a C-10.
Please let him out.
And sees the blaze and curiously circles, but Dieter realizes that they have no way of knowing if an American had set the fire or if it was just the Vietnamese or the Pathet Lao. Mm-hmm. So the plane drops about 20 parachute flares and flies off.
Okay, what? Come
back. For
back.
signaling.
Come back.
Yep. And on a hill near the burnt-out village, Dieter uses the parachute to make an SOS signal and waited.
Okay.
So he prayed at this point because the plane had flown away.
Yeah.
He said, God, forgive me for the bad things I've done in life. I just can't fight it anymore. Please let me die.
Okay.
I don't want to wake up.
Yeah.
And he goes to sleep. However, he woke up.
Okay, well.
And he was pissed off and more determined to give it one last shot to get rescued.
Yeah.
So he hiked down to a nearby river and was fading in and out of consciousness. So he's really just trying to make one last push, but he's passing out along the way. Dieter wakes up the next day, pissed off and determined to give it his all in one last push to get rescued. Dieter hiked down to the river nearby, fading in and out of consciousness. He manages to lay out an SOS on the riverbank before passing out.
Okay.
And basically, that was his last effort.
Yeah.
He wakes up to the sound of a plane flying low.
Oh, for the love of God.
And it goes back and forth several times and starts to wiggle its wings, which means that I see you.
Oh my God.
So he is fucking yeeting.
He's yeeting?
He was so happy, he starts crying and shouting with such intensity that he collapses again and passes out.
God damn it, Dieter. Pull it together, man. No, I'm not judging Dieter. I think
he
deserves it.
He deserves it. Yeah. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So he passed out, right? And he wakes up again to a helicopter lowering a cable that was attached to a rescue harness so he could get pulled up.
Oh my God. They better have some granola bars on that fucking helicopter.
Yes, they have some Nature Valley.
The crunchy kind?
The crumbs will get everywhere.
But not the crunchy
kind. So they pull him up in the chopper, and he hugs the leg of the guy that pulled him up and starts crying.
Oh, Dieter. Rip my heart out.
So it's July 20th, 1966. Wow. And remember that he crashed in February of the same year.
Oh, wow.
He's been missing for almost 6 months.
Ugh.
He was rescued about 100 miles from where he originally crashed.
Wow.
And when they brought him to the infirmary, he was diagnosed with 2 types of malaria, intestinal worms, fungus, jaundice, and hepatitis. He was incredibly malnourished and weighed only 98 pounds.
Whoa. Wow. That is, I don't even know what words, like survivalist to the highest extent.
Yes. And with all of our stories, the doctor said that if he had been out there a day or 2 longer, he would have died.
Yeah. I'm shocked he didn't already die.
Me too.
There's no reason why he should be alive.
I mean, he was already done.
Yeah.
The day before he got rescued.
Exactly.
Insane. Remarkable. So eventually, after 2 months in the hospital, Dieter made a full recovery physically.
Hell yeah.
He almost doubled his body weight.
Oh my God. I hope he had all the food he wanted.
Me too.
Every pizza, every brownie, all the ice cream.
Yeah. It wasn't totally happy because for the first few weeks, he wouldn't sleep in his bed. He said it was too soft. He slept on the floor.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. That's really sad.
So he never truly recovered mentally from it.
How could you?
Yeah, he was haunted by nightmares of the brutal reality that he lived through.
I mean, yeah, that's PTSD to the highest extent.
Yeah, and I don't think that they really knew what the fuck it was.
No, of course not.
So, I mean, he never really fully got over it, even when he got back home. Ugh. Which is so sad, but
he survived.
He survived. He fucking lived. And out of the 7 prisoners, only Dieter and persisted intradat were definitively known to have survived the ordeal.
Wow.
Persisted split from the proceeds. Remember, there was 2 proceeds.
Okay.
And after 32 days of wandering through the jungle, due to hunger, Persisted fainted on a road and woke up in captivity because a Lao villager had spotted him when he was unconscious. So he ended up back in Banaden prison, which was later raided by the U.S. in January of 1967, which was the only successful rescue of POWs during the Vietnam War.
Wow. Okay. That's insane that he was, again, a prisoner of war and then was,
Yeah, I want to say, I can't remember if he was one of the people who had been there for 2 years. Because if that's true, then that was probably the 3rd year.
Oh, God.
Which is the fortitude, the mental toughness that he had to have, unfathomable. But the rest of the crew were never heard from again. So Dieter's rescue was kept secret until he was fully debriefed by the army, and it was understood that he never signed any confessions, like the one that they fucking dragged him behind a water buffalo to sign.
Right.
So they corroborated that he didn't sign anything, and he received the Navy Cross and Purple Heart among a slew of other awards and medals from the Army, and became a national hero, and even getting a standing ovation in a congressional hearing about his ordeal.
Wow.
So he was surprised by all the attention that he received because he thought anyone would have tried that hard to return home. I'm not special.
Dude, Dieter, hang on. Buddy, you did some crazy shit, Dieter. You deserve that.
Yeah. But I don't know. This is just like who he is, right?
Crazy.
Very humble. So Dieter finished his tour of duty in the Air Force and left to take a job as a pilot with the Trans World Airlines after being, what is it called?
Discharged?
Discharged, yes. Jesus Christ. After he was discharged, he took a job as a pilot.
Wow.
Go figure.
Okay.
He never stopped flying, and he even meticulously restored Cessna 195 that was his pride and joy, and that he would show off at plane shows.
That's a plane.
That's a plane.
Okay, I don't know.
It's a model. It's like a Subaru 2013.
Okay.
You know?
Oh,
that's tan. Let's not give up our car. That's so generic. Come on now. Anyway, so he never stopped flying. That was his like hobby. Obviously, his fucking love in life.
Totally great. I'm glad he kept up with it.
Yeah, and he actually decided to return to Laos, where he was imprisoned.
Wow.
After being furloughed in 1977 in an economic downturn, and was welcomed as a celebrity by the Pathet Lao.
Interesting.
Extremely interesting. And he was taken to the camp that he had escaped from over a decade ago.
Yeah.
And he realized that like through his path home, he actually like was going out and then came back and was within 1.5 miles of the camp.
Holy shit.
At one point.
What? Wow, that's really weird. Yeah, I don't know. I find it so crazy whenever someone goes through something so traumatic and crazy. I'm just thinking of like Yulian Kuepka, who like went back to the crash site and like would go back regularly. I mean, you know, as regularly as I guess she could, but like it's just so crazy. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it's like
therapeutic
because you like relive it, you like kind of put it to rest, you like come to peace with it, you like kind of go there and you can like stand where you were and like
and see where you've come.
Like you feel the reality of what was, but then you realize like it's over.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah.
Also, episode 3.
Right.
Yulian Kepka.
Yeah.
Another story that I actually told. It's weird that this comes up. But I mean, it's very similar.
I feel like it's like kind of your vibe. Like you like
I like
stories
plane
like this.
crashes.
You like apparently you like plane crashes and like shit like this, which makes sense. It checks out.
So after returning home, Dieter married 3 times.
Okay.
And had 2 sons, Rolf and Alexander, and had 3 grandchildren. And in February 2001. Dieter was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and fearing that his last days would be spent as a vegetable, he rolled his wheelchair to a driveway of a fire station and shot himself.
Oh, that's really sad.
And ended his life on his own terms.
That's really, really sad.
Yeah, I don't know. That made me tear up.
Yeah, I mean, he really survived, and he had an incredible life. I mean, lots of tragedy, but he really did it.
Yeah, when he got back, like, his mindset was like, I was not supposed to survive what happened to me, and every day that I get after this is a gift.
Yeah.
So he lived a very full life after that, and, you know, I think it was like, you know, when you brush that close to death so many times and go through that experience, like, I feel like death is no longer so like
scary.
Foreign and like out of your consciousness,
right?
And you know, he just didn't want to end up, you know, I don't know, it's very sad, but like he did, like, it's so strange, but like he ended it on his own terms too.
Sure, I get that.
So that is the story of Dieter Dengler.
Damn, Dieter. Wow. I don't really have much to say. I mean, that shit is just crazy.
Is that the title? That shit is just crazy, dude. Bro.
That, I feel like such an idiot for saying that after such a, like, insane story.
I know, but, like, what can you say?
What can you say?
Every time we do a story, it's, like, no words justify, like, what just happened to a person.
I mean, I feel like there's some stories we tell where, like, we can talk about it a little bit afterward and, like, recap and be like, wow, it was really incredible, and blah, blah, blah. But, like, this one's just like, holy shit. Like, there's really no reason why he should have lived. Like, I mean, he's just he was insanely strong and, like, persistent and just wouldn't stop. And that's insane. I mean, poor Dwayne. Decapitated. He tried too.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I know. He was so close too. He was so close. But, I mean,
I mean, he was a survivalist too, you know? Like
He was.
He was a survivor up
He had been
until
there
the
longer
very
than Dieter,
end. Yeah, exactly. God damn. I mean, on that note, do you have a good thing?
Do I have a good thing?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Great.
I have 2 good things this week. Number 1, I had Friday off.
Yes, Friday off.
Amen. Bow, 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 bow.
Yes,
and then I'm going home tomorrow to see my fucking family, who I have not seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. I wish I could have, been to your family thing.
Yeah.
Huntapalooza.
Yes, Huntapalooza.
I really wish.
They got t-shirts.
Yeah, they have matching t-shirts. I want a matching t-shirt so bad.
I'm sure they got you one.
No, it's all right. No, I'm so happy you get to go do that. It's going to be so fun. And yeah, and then I'll hear all about it when you get back.
What's your good thing?
My good thing is I am so hype that live theater is now a thing that's happening again. And my coworker directed a play and he invited me to come, so I'm going to go watch his play. And I've heard really great things about it already because one of my coworkers saw it, I believe, like last night or something. And she said it was amazing. And I'm so excited to go. I mean, I'm just going to go by myself, but I don't even care. Like, I know the play and I really like the play and I love him. And I'm just really excited to go and support him and see live theater for the first time. And like, I don't
forever.
Forever in so long. And I'm just so excited.
Amen.
And I think it's going to be amazing. Yeah, so that's my good thing.
Amen.
And yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like to email us with a great story, any story that you would like to possibly have read on the podcast, email at us at notodaypodcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at nottodaypodcast, with a T on the end is a 3.
Because that makes sense.
And if you'd like to follow us on TikTok, we're at Not Today Podcast. Instagram, Not Today _podcast.
And we just hit over 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Thank you guys so much,
yes.
by the way. Thank you for following us.
So exciting.
Keeping up. And just keep breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.